Every America's Cup cycle starts with way more questions than answers. From how many teams, to where the cup will be held, and in what kind of machine. And then there's the big question. Who's the favourite to become the custodian of the oldest international sporting trophy in the world? Throughout the 37th America's Cup, Yanmar has been an official sponsor. They've also been behind the series of features that we produced to help answer some of these questions along the road to the America's Cup. So, now in the final episode, we take a look at what made the 37th America's Cup a special one. Having successfully defended the Cup in Barcelona last summer, the America's Cup is back in New Zealand, here at the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, back in the club that has been its home for 8 years most recently and 16 in total. Before the trophy had come home, a new challenge from the Royal Yacht Squadron in Cowes had been accepted. The process for the 38th America's Cup is already underway. But as plans start to take shape in the background, we take a look at the key moments of the last America's Cup cycle. After 12 months of development, building and training, the first official event took place in Villanova in Spain in September 2023, in the first of 3 preliminary events. And this was already a cup event with a difference. Raced in identical 40-foot foiling monohulls, this was a first for the Cup. And while each of the 6 teams had been watched closely during training, little was known about how each would fare come the racing. And with uncharacteristic weather that seemed anything but predictable, it was anybody's guess what would happen. After 3 days of racing, it was the New York Yacht Club American Magic team that came out on top. Winning 2 of the 5 races, the Americans beat Emirates Team New Zealand by 1 point to take overall victory. Well, there we have it. American Magic win the first preliminary regatta of the 37th America's Cup. It's a significant result. They went into this race as the favourites, with everybody knowing that up until now, Team New Zealand had been pretty dominant. The second preliminary event was in Jeddah. Conditions were spectacular and the racing was extremely close. And while the Kiwis demonstrated why they were the favourites, the event was noted for 2 other aspects in particular. One was the consistently good performance of the newly formed Alinghi Red Bull Racing team, whose 3rd place overall had underscored their potential as strong contenders for the America's Cup. The second was the outstanding performance from the new helmsman aboard Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Despite having very little hands-on experience of an AC40, 31-year-old Ruggero Tita and 19-year-old Marco Gradoni took the event by storm, making it through to the final to put Emirates Team New Zealand under serious pressure. In the end, the Kiwis won, but the final had been a wake-up call for all. Next stop, Barcelona for the 3rd preliminary event, but this time the racing was in the team's new AC75 yachts. Anticipation was high as the new generation of designs lined up against each other for the first time. But there was drama before the racing had even begun, as Alinghi Red Bull Racing suffered a mast failure while training the day before the event. This was the 2nd time that the team had been dismasted. When racing got underway, it was close, with the Italians and New Zealanders coming out as the top 2 teams. In the final race, it was Emirates Team New Zealand who won the preliminary event. While this round didn't count for any points along the road to the America's Cup, the results spoke volumes for those looking to build a form guide. The New York Yacht Club American Magic were 3rd, Ineos Britannia 4th, with Alinghi Red Bull 5th and Orient Express Racing Team 6th. The next phase of the Cup was the start of the Louis Vuitton Challenger Selection Series. But in this one the defenders took part, but only for the double round-robin phase, and without their results counting for the challengers. Nevertheless, there is always intense scrutiny of the early performances, and this was no different. In hindsight, there was no doubt as to how revealing the opening phase of the Cup was to be. Out of 10 races in total, Emirates Team New Zealand won 8. The British and Italian challengers won 7 apiece. Then a gap as the Americans clocked up 4 wins, with Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Orient Express Racing Team taking the final 2 places respectively. But the results didn't tell the whole story. The Kiwis' result could have been much stronger had they not had to miss out on 2 races while they repaired their AC-75 after it had been accidentally dropped when being lifted ashore after racing. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Miraculously, the boat suffered little damage in what could have been a campaign-ending crash. Instead, the incident put 2 losses on the board that might not otherwise have happened. As defenders, the Kiwis were already assured of their place in the America's Cup, but now they had to sit out racing for almost 6 weeks until the start of the America's Cup. Now the focus was on the challengers. As top-scoring challenger in the previous round, Ineos Britannia got to choose their opponent. They picked Alinghi Red Bull Racing. This left Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli to face New York Yacht Club American Magic. The match between the British and the Swiss was largely a one-sided affair, with a score of 5-2 to Ineos Britannia. The scoreline of 5-3 in the matches between the Italians and the Americans looked little different on the face of it, but the racing was generally much tighter. There was still some drama though, as Luna Rossa suffered a structural failure in the main sheet area during race 7, forcing them to retire. With the British and Italians having won their rounds, the next stop was the Louis Vuitton Challenger final. As Ineos Britannia and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli prepared to do battle, the prospects as to who would come out on top were less certain. The opening 2 races delivered no hints, as each took a victory. And while the British took the 3rd win, the Italians took the 4th. After that, each team won alternately until race 10, when the British got the upper hand and the momentum. From there, one more win saw them through to the America's Cup. In 1964, the challenging yacht Sovereign raised British hopes, but then went on to lose 4-0 to the American defender Constellation. This time around, British supporters were daring to hope. Meanwhile, during the build-up to the America's Cup, there had been 2 additional and important events: the UniCredit Youth America's Cup and the Pooch Women's America's Cup. Both saw 12 teams compete in the AC40 class. In each event, 6 teams were affiliated to Cup campaigns, 6 were invited. Both events saw close racing in often challenging conditions for the fleet racing stages. Both events saw a match racing final between the top 2 teams, and both victories went to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Their youth team beat American Magic, while their women's team beat the British Athena Pathway team to take the first ever Women's America's Cup title. Back in the America's Cup, as Emirates Team New Zealand headed out onto the course for the first race, they knew that their opponents were match fit. Forced to sit out the Challenger Series, the Kiwis hadn't raced boat on boat for 6 weeks. But as they came off the line for the first time in the first to 7-point series, it was clear that they were fully up to speed as well. Finishing the day with 2 straight wins provided all the evidence that was required. On the second day of racing, the Kiwis took another win, followed by one more on day 3. The Kiwis were on a roll. After a reserve day, the British bounced back after the Kiwis dropped off their foils in the pre-start. By the time they were up and running, the British were well ahead and kept their lead to take their first win. The second race of the day saw another point for Ineos Britannia, but with a 7-second winning margin, this one had been close. Whether losing 2 points back-to-back was the spur that the Kiwis needed to return to their winning form, or whether it was coming anyway, was up for debate. What wasn't was how dominant they proved to be after that. The racing was close at times, but 3 straight wins did the trick and saw the Kiwis win the 37th America's Cup. Any America's Cup win is an impressive achievement, but this one was special. This was the 3rd time in a row that the Kiwis had won the Cup, a major achievement in itself, and the first time that the same team had won the America's Cup 3 times in a row. The America's Cup is famous for delivering leaps in design and technology, and this cycle had delivered plenty. The 37th America's Cup was special. Meanwhile, Yanmar's participation in this event has not only allowed us to produce the Road to the America's Cup series, but underscores a long-term commitment to the Cup. From being the official technical partner to Oracle Team USA in 2013 through to 2017, when the Cup was in Bermuda, their relationship with the America's Cup continued through the 36th cycle before the company became the official sponsor of the 37th America's Cup.
A sustainable future. Yanmar.